Is it quarter two? Is that what this is? Is this our quarter two business meeting for this year or three?
I think this is the second
The
one.
second. Yeah. Thanks, Lori. So quarter two business meeting for Oil Empowered educators. And we have been trying to bring you guys some value added besides just looking at our faces and bring you people that know a lot more than we do about offering tips and tricks for our businesses. So Justine is going to be coming on with us sharp at 9. We wanted to get everybody together just because we know that often, we have to trickle in. And we also just wanted to take care of just a few business items before she comes on. So I'm sure you guys at this point have all seen that we are trying to streamline and structure our content in Oil Empowered. And so just to really quickly also recap why we feel like it's important for there to even be a members group, and always to be thinking bigger than where you're at right now. Now, depending on where you are, if you're a star, a senior star, depending on where you are, you may feel like you can manage communicating with your team and with your downline in a very efficient and easy way without involving Facebook. But let me assure you that as things get bigger, when you've got a blossoming executive to silver to gold to platinum and beyond, there is no way to easily try to get information out to all of your downline without involving a Facebook group. And it's one of the things that Facebook is still doing well and offering, and offering us is the community aspect that so far no other platform has. They just don't. So, Instagram doesn't have groups yet. So until they do, Facebook is still king in this area. So we wanted to open up the floor too to get some feedback. So as you see, so far we have tried to create content that really does match with the season, with whatever certain promotions potentially that Young Living is offering, trying to sync this up. It can be tricky because we don't always know what Young Living Corporate has to offer, but so far it's worked out pretty well. And to streamline and make this a system that can be easily plugged and played by anybody. So if we've been using Sign Up Geniuses, as you've been seeing, we've been using our Facebook group messenger thread to try to communicate those Sign Up Genius forms. I think we've seen some improvement in the involvement and engagement on those Sign Up Geniuses. We are always looking for more if you guys are feeling ready, because let me tell you why. First of all, they're probably sick of seeing my face or Jamie's face or Sybil's face, right? At least maybe our close friends and our warm market and all that are excited. Our signees, our downline, probably really excited to see us. But the group doesn't really become like our group unless we're all participating. And it changes the vibe, it changes the look, it changes the feel of the group as more and more of you get engaged. So I know that as you guys are willing to even just share your content. I know Sybil had suggested, and I think it's so brilliant. A lot of us, if not most of us, are using social media to, obviously share how we're using oils in our lives, and to share that content into the group is easy, right? It's once and done, and you can share it onto your personal Facebook page, but don't forget the group. Because of the way the algorithms work, it's really highly unlikely that many people are going to see that content twice, even if it is your downline. And if it's not your downline, it's going to be news to them, this idea or this thing that you have. So don't ever be afraid to share your personal content in Oil Empowered, because it just adds more texture and more value to the group. So I would love to get your feedback. If anybody's willing to pop on here, tell me if there's something that you think that we could do differently, improve. Do you like how it's going? Are you kind of catching on? Are you starting to get more comfortable with the idea of participating? And to always keep in mind too, it does not have to be a Facebook Live. It can absolutely be static content, an awesome graphic you made plus some text information like I did on Sheila May the other night, because I was not in a position to be doing anything live at that moment. So I was like, you know what, let's just do some informative content. So if I would love to open the floor to you guys to give us some feedback on that, and see where we go from there. And then I'll chime back in when it's time to welcome Justine.
Yeah, everyone should be able to unmute themselves. So if you have something that you'd like to share, things that are working well, things that are you see as needing improvement, whatever the feedback may be, feel free yourself and let us know.
My baby just passed out, so I'm going to quickly sneak her to her crib, and I'll be right back on. Jamie, do you mind taking over?
No, not at all.
I will say real quick to you girls that you do an excellent job. I know that I monitor my own group and I haven't been posting much in Oil and Power ever, but I watch what you do and I think it's going well. So, and it's funny because I just signed up to do a Sign Up Genius to get people posting in mine, and I haven't really got that flowing. So in another call, maybe I'll get some tips from you.
Yeah, absolutely. That is actually.
Thanks, Lori.
So do you have a regular posting schedule that you utilize in your group?
No.
No. Okay.
It's really kind of random at this point, and I probably do the bulk of it. And we all, and it's my fault because I haven't implemented a system, and none of us have really, come together to put anything together. So I'm glad to hear you guys are doing that. That's great.
Yeah, Sign Up Genius seems to be working well. There's kind of still a lot of opportunity for others to be able to participate, and of course when they do, their members will see even more too. I don't know what you've seen in your group specifically. Have you noticed that builders that are not posting regularly, their members are also not really present or seeing things? Because we definitely noticed that.
Yes, that is absolutely true.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So yeah, because it's like if they're connected to the group, the both of them are connected to the group, the algorithm will pick that up and show it to them. So it is important for sure. It is. And now I'm like, oh my gosh, I should do the Sign Up Genius right now. You guys have got me.
In fact, that's a good reminder to grab.
I was like, I
making notes, especially when Justine is on, or anything that we share too.
Oh yeah, no, I'm ready.
Rely on my memory.
Yeah,
it's got to be written down.
Absolutely.
And Leah and Amanda, if there's ever any feedback that you guys want to give, whether you're comfortable unmuting and sharing it here or not, if you're not, that's fine too. You can just message one of us, Sybil, Tammy, or myself separately. And if you have ideas for what should be happening or could be happening, or things that maybe you're not seeing that would be good ideas to implement, always feel free to let us know.
I do like the Sign Up Genius. I've just kind of been a little MIA. I'm like survival mode.
Yeah.
But I really like I'm getting more comfortable posting on there and just realizing that it's just as simple as reposting the content. And I was telling Tammy that I didn't feel like it was as important for me to be participating in that group, and that I just was going to do my own thing. But then when she explained to me the long-term importance of your members being able to have all this content, that really clicked with me. And then, not to mention that whenever I am searching for something or have a question about product, I go to Oil and Power and I search it. That's the best resource that I have. So it really is a really valuable resource.
Yes, absolutely. That's good points. And we're trying to keep it organized too, where when we do a topic, we link all those posts in a file so that it's search themes as well and keep some method organization. There's never, I'm sure we're never going to be on top of all of it, but to some extent when we do these focus themes for a week, trying to group that content, because it's so easy to lose things in the feed of a group.
Yeah. I can find things pretty easily, so I haven't had an issue with that.
Yeah.
I'm back. Can you guys hear me okay?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, awesome. And no screaming baby in the background at this point because she decided to pop awake. And I was like, okay, night-night, bye-bye. Let's see, how are we on time? All right, awesome.
Yeah.
So what did I miss? Do you guys, while we're waiting for someone else to chime in, a quick recap of any feedback?
Just that the Sign Up Genius seems to be a really good streamlined method for doing this. that once that ability, once life is more balanced, more will be able to join and participate. That's, what did I miss? Did I miss anything? No?
And for those of you that are going to be watching the replay, just to reiterate that, I promise that none of us were comfortable doing Facebook Lives when we first started. Some of us still get nervous when we occasionally hit that start live button. And yet it does seem to attract people really quickly. Like I will see that a few people that I have added to the group will jump on with me and watch. And it just, and the shorter and the sweeter, the better. It doesn't need to go on for very long. I mean, honestly, if you could get it out in 30 seconds, it would be ideal, but keeping it less than 5 minutes and, but just not being afraid, because nobody does it perfectly. We all mess up. We all forget what we're doing, but to also remember that the static content also has a lot of value.
Yes.
And if you're somebody that would prefer to find a cool graphic or make a cool graphic, for those of you who have not discovered Canva yet, canva.com is a free resource to make some amazing, simple graphics using their templates. And you can make them for stories or for the square for Instagram, your feed, for Facebook stories, which has a slightly different ratio, if you guys have noticed, than the Instagram story. All of those different things, they've got it there for you. So you can easily make a graphic in Canva in a few seconds, honestly, or at most a few minutes, and pop that up in Oil Empowered. Yeah. But make sure that if you are, let's say that you aren't somebody that's been avidly sharing on social media up till this point, and you make a graphic, you decide, hey, I'm going to participate in the skincare, because this week is skincare for the face. So you're like, I think I'm going to do it. I really do love my Orange Blossom facial wash. I'm going to jump in here and add a little graphic. Make sure you share it out to your personal page. Use it and share it all around, because again, anytime you can kill 2 birds with 1 stone is ideal. So.
Mm-hmm. Yep, good tip. And paste the text. I often will post on my personal page first as a public post, and then copy the text and share it over on Instagram, which automatically posts then to my business page. So then, there's lots of ways to reuse content too. Even if you keep it in your phone for a few days, keep the photo in your phone for a few days and just space it out. Lots of ways to reuse.
Absolutely. And I did hear that if you, I heard that sharing from Instagram to Facebook is no longer ideal. Have anybody else heard that? It used to not be a bad thing as long as you went in and edited out your hashtags. So the rule of thumb, again, with social media, which I know is not everybody's bag, but from what I had understood was that obviously Instagram works and is built on hashtags. That's how you connect with other people, that you would put a bunch of hashtags relative to your post or relative to your brand. Like for me, I'll often use infertility, PCOS, endometriosis, all of those things, because that's my village, that's my tribe, right? On my photos, whenever it's applicable. And then we'll go and engage with people on that hashtag and like comment on their pictures and their things. And then, kind of create, because what they want to see is that you're creating actual relationships, is what technically Instagram and Facebook want you to do. So as authentically as you can make it look like you're doing that, even if you are just pretending, is ideal. But it used to be that you could share from Instagram, where you would have your post and you would have all your hashtags, and you would just hit share to Facebook and it would show up exactly like that. And then ideally you would go to Facebook and just edit your post on Facebook and just back out the hashtags, because Facebook does not like hashtags. And you can lose visibility if you have a lot of hashtags in your Facebook postings. Mm-hmm. So I did see there was a little poll that I got in my email from a marketing group that I follow that said that a lot of people now are shifting to putting your hashtags in the first comment, because that way the share to Facebook is genuine without any hashtags attached, right? And then you would have in the first comment. And then there's another group of people that says, actually, if you really want better visibility on Facebook, you need to not share at all. You need to take your content directly to Facebook, upload it directly to Facebook, and you'll get a little more visibility. So I don't know. I've been experimenting with that, if that helps anybody that's trying to use social media to grow. But I will say this, we're getting close to bringing Justine on. And if anybody else wants to add to this too, sometimes I think we can get distracted by what it looks like we should be doing. And honestly, any one of us needs to look at what got us to where we are right now. So like as a silver, what got me here right now? It was definitely some social media. Social media was a part of that, but initially it was definitely in-person classes. And I did a lot of those. And I started steering away from that because I thought, oh, social media, number one, it's more convenient for me and my lifestyle with 5 small children. And then number 2, it's a little bit easier, right? It's like, you don't have to pack up and go anywhere or get dressed up or find a babysitter or any of those things. However, I had to get back to my roots and realize like that's a lot of the part of what got me here was in-person classes. So let me get back in touch with that aspect as well and not forget that.
Right.
Because a lot of social media is going to be building today and putting in a lot of effort today for something that's actually not going to give you a whole lot of payback until down the road. So that was kind of an epiphany I had recently. Anybody else feel that way?
Yeah, I've definitely been thinking about that more and more, especially after the last training that we did with Amy, specifically focused more on Instagram, where yeah, you're right, getting back to your roots. What was it that initially opened up those floodgates of members enrolling, getting, potential builders excited to do the business? And it definitely, sorry, I was distracted by us.
I'm like, oh, squirrel.
And it's true, but to be honest too, after her talk, I keep in my head, I keep thinking, okay, what am I sharing? And that's one of the things tonight with Justine, which will be really eye-opening. Or who am I sharing to, I guess, because that has evolved to some extent also throughout the last 4 years as, you kind of develop your personal testimonies, and that sort of shifts your, what you have that's valuable to X group or Y group. And on social media, it does seem like you have to be so fine-tuned into this particular group because people are really quick to like and really quick to unlike, depending on what they have in common with you. So I'm kind of in a state of trying to figure out, not in reality, who am I, but who am I on social media anymore? Where do I go from here? But I like your point of go back to when you first started building the business. What was it that worked consistently for you?
Oh, 100%.
I love seeing all the beautiful feeds and going, I have to be more like that. No, I got to be more like this.
And you don't, because like, for instance, our Royal Crown Diamond, Alyssa Francis, to this day, still does not have any semblance of a real Instagram page at all. She doesn't have a blog. She doesn't have anything. She built it on classes. I met a platinum here in Georgia that has an amazing team, and she's just now starting to like put some time and energy into Instagram because she's got a great following, but that's because she's a platinum and she has a huge team. So her team is following her. And so now that she's doing it, it's gaining a little more traction. But prior to that, she didn't do any social media, anything, except for in her members group where she was just supporting and loving on her members. So it can look so many different ways. And I think sometimes it's very easy to get wooed by the Instagram influencers and think, oh, that's so beautiful. And don't get me wrong, like I'm working on it. Like I got wooed. I was like, I want my feed to be pretty. I bought a $5 preset. So it is interesting to look at it and just kind of evaluate. So I would recommend that to anybody. Just evaluate what has gotten you the growth that you have so far. If you're just getting started, it's like open to you, and having opportunities like this to talk with Justine is going to be awesome to start people off on the right foot. But like for those of us who've been doing this for a minute, look and see like what got you the people that are interested right now. So, but it looks like Justine just joined us. Hey, Justine.
Hi, Justine.
I'm muted. Hi, how are you?
I'm doing well. How are you?
Good.
For a minute, baby. I'll be out in just a minute, okay?
Where did you want me to email? I typed up some replies to the questions that you sent me, and I didn't know where you wanted me to send them. for reference after the call.
I can message you. I'll message you.
Hi. That's awesome. Okay, go find Daddy. I'm in a meeting right now. So sorry. My 4-year-old decided to literally bust in right at this moment. But yeah, Justine, you have Jamie's email?
I can message
it after. Yeah.
That would be awesome. That would be awesome. Thank you for doing that. All right. So I'm good to go ahead and go into our next segment if you're ready, since she's here. Okay, awesome. So we would love to welcome, hold on really quickly while I usher my 4-year-old legitimately out of this room. All right. Okay, baby, go back to Daddy. This is Hustle with a Family, everybody. All right, Justine Beauregard, thank you so much for being here with us. She's from Morel Marketing. She has over a decade of experience helping small business owners. And in case you weren't aware, we are small business owners, my friends. And we are the CEOs of our own companies. And having people like Justine kind of pour into us with some marketing advice is huge, because I'm sure if somebody had said on day one of Young Living that I was going to need to understand about marketing, I probably would have been like, I don't think so, right? Doesn't Young Living do the marketing for me? Well, sure, they do on a corporate level. They'll give us some pretty graphics. They make a pretty blog that we can refer people back to. But at the end of the day, you are creating your own brand. And you are the face of your brand, and you need to market yourself. And if you can learn and understand more about marketing, reading good books, which might be a question I would have probably added. Maybe we have time. Justine, at the very end, if you have time to tell us what maybe your favorite personal development and marketing books might be for us, that would be something I'd be interested in.
Yeah.
But anyway, yeah, so we would love to turn the time over. I'm actually going to let Jamie conduct this portion, because Jamie has the questions that we submitted for Justine, and I'll let her I'll turn the time over to Jamie and Justine.
Awesome. Thanks, Tammy. Justine, welcome. Thank you so much for being willing to give us some of your time here and share some of your wisdom with this Q&A.
Of course. I love to do this.
We love to learn, so this is going to be a perfect balance. All right, so you did receive some of those questions ahead of time, and so I don't know if I'm going to ask them in the same order that I sent them, but that won't matter in the long run. So first and foremost, I know for a lot of Young Living business builders, just learning how to narrow down and focus on what is their target market is very, very important, obviously. So what are your main tips for those of us with Young Living businesses to do just that?
Yeah, so I mean, this is a huge, I loved when you sent me these questions, and especially in this order, specifically having the target market be the first question, because every single thing you do, whenever someone comes to me as a client and says, I'm not really sure who I'm marketing to, I'm like, well, then how do you expect to get results? You need to know who you're marketing to so that you can craft your perfect marketing message for that person, and so that you can understand their buying behavior and you can cater all the language that you develop to that one person, right? So what I would say is think about who uses your products today. So in the case of Young Living, that would be anyone who's interested in wellness and natural care remedies and things like that. So thinking about that on a broad level. Then from there, you narrow down and consider specific demographics. So if you have experience, and each person's different, right? Mostly because you're building a brand that's based off of who you are as a person, you are your own brand. Your demographics are going to be probably similar to yourself, because people find that relatable. If you're a mom, you probably cater to moms. If you're living in a certain area, you're probably heavily marketing to people that understand where you're coming from and where you live. So maybe you're more regionally focused to start with. If you're a female, you probably appeal to more females, especially when it's, like I said, a personal brand. So think about, their age, their defined gender, where they're located, and things like that. And then take it a step further. It's kind of like peeling back the onion. So you start off with really broad strokes. Who are they? Where do they live? What do they do for a job? What's their household income, for instance? Then think about what drives them to buy. So a lot of times this comes up. People get this confused with what pushes you to sell. not what drives them to buy. So it's very one-sided. Like, I have Young Living products and I think they're amazing and I use them for this purpose, so I'm selling them in that way. And that's actually the reverse of what you should be doing. You should be thinking more about why they need and want Young Living products. So thinking in reverse, like, I may use it, and I personally use Young Living oils for diffusing for relaxation, for migraines. I use them in my laundry on my dryer balls, which Jamie actually sold me. I use them for cleaning products, hand soaps, deodorant, things like that. But maybe the audience that I sell to uses them in a completely different way. And I never took the time to get to know what that application was. And because I'm not interested in it, I didn't sell it that way. And then I'm missing out on tons of opportunities because I didn't take the time to hone in on what their problems and my solutions were related to those problems.
Mm-hmm.
So then, once you've done all that, once you've considered who's buying them, where they live, what their household income is, what's pushing them or what's driving them to buy versus what's pushing you to sell, then you think about where and how you can serve them based off of that information. And that's where you truly are able to differentiate yourself and begin to add value. So what I like to do is think of a positioning statement. So I think of a positioning statement as what you do, plus for whom you do it, plus the value that you bring. So this is essentially your elevator pitch. You know, I would say Morel Marketing is a small business marketing company, it's a marketing company catered for small businesses, designed to help them thrive on small budgets. So I'm saying what I do, for whom, and how I add value. Now, there are tons of ways that you can add value that are not tied to money. So a lot of times people think value and they tie it to a monetary goal, like, oh, I sell Young Living products cheaper than the next person, or I'm able to bundle products and give you, some great discount. But the truth is, value comes in many ways. For instance, Jamie, as an example, because she has sold to me before, I can use you hopefully as a reference, and that's okay.
Sure, go ahead.
Saleswoman. And what you did, how you added value, was creating videos of how you're using and applying the oils in your daily life, which I may or may not, agree and use the oils in the same ways that you do, or even have the same application. But seeing you add value by going live and doing those videos is super helpful. Having you send me a packet of the most popular oils and how they're being used by people around the country that you may not use them. It's more adding value in terms of knowledge and education versus saying I'm selling them cheaper than the next person, or I'll give you a discount or whatever, which you may also do, but that's not your primary goal. So it's really figuring out how to describe what you do, the people you do it for, and why they should care, and then what that sounds like.
Yeah, very eye-opening. So when we're trying to set ourselves apart, because obviously there's lots of competition out there, no matter what business each entrepreneur is in, what are the key actions then to focus on when you're trying to set your small business apart from all of the competition?
So I love this question, because if you asked me the same question 5 years ago, I would have answered it completely differently. But now, having done this for so many years and having seen results from testing different methods of marketing, and I used to develop marketing plans where section 1 was define your audience and section 2 was evaluate your competition. And now the way that I think about it is step 1 is actually to stop thinking about your competition altogether. Now, it sounds counterintuitive, but the truth is there are 1 billion bloggers in the world today and growing every day. There are thousands of oil products out there on the market. And yet people still buy Young Living. So the question that comes back is, why is that? So my answer is there's more than enough to go around for everyone. And that means that the competition doesn't really matter. You're not selling against the competition. You're selling against a need and problem and solution. So what matters is your positioning statement. It's how you add value. It's how you make people feel and how they feel like they're being treated by you. So everything comes back to service. So how can you make their experience better than the next person? How can you make their trust stronger of you? How can you become more trustworthy? How can you make their loyalty to Young Living's promise of seed to seal and doing all these incredible things that other companies are also pitching, but they're not really doing maybe? That's an external view, is the competition, but this is an internal exercise. This is something you have to say, who cares if someone's approached the same person with doTERRA oils? Because I believe in Young Living and I'm a trustworthy salesperson who cares about the people that I do business with. And I don't care, they could try those oils and they could try my oils and maybe they like them better, but you know what? That's not my core customer if that's the case. So I need to think about the experience I'm delivering, the trust that I'm building, the loyalty that I'm promoting, and building relationships and serving my customer base so that you're at a point eventually in your business where you're not even really selling. You get to a point where your customers are selling for you. They're promoting you. Like I went to an Usborne party a week ago, and the girl who was running it, I love Usborne books, and these are all network marketing opportunities. And she posted a $5 book sale. Now, the books that I bought were typically, $8, so it wasn't a huge savings. But there were a bunch of books that I was looking at, and I was so in love with the way she designed this party. I thought it was very well organized. She was super helpful and friendly and made it very easy to navigate and billed me right away and made it easy to pay and ship the products, and I got them today. And the speed and care that she put into that process and the way she developed that event, I was so impressed that I posted on my Facebook page, if anyone needs Usborne books, talk to this girl because she's incredible. And I had several of my friends reach out to her that I didn't even know about. She messaged me and said, thank you so much for posting that on your page. I got like 3 parties booked and all this stuff. And it was just because I had a great experience and I was happy to share it. So I think that's the whole point, is you think of yourself as your own competition. How can you become better than you were yesterday? How can you develop more trust than you did last week? How can you make your customers more excited about you and your brand and your products than they were last year? And that's kind of how you think about that.
Absolutely. I'm taking lots of notes. This is very.
I know. I'm sorry. I know we're all muted on purpose so that we can hear you, Justine. Sorry for the silence, but I loved that so much. I just had to say something before we moved on to the next segment, because because you had me thinking. You really had me thinking. What is the experience I'm giving my customers? Like beyond the education, right? What am I doing that sets myself apart, and what can I do better? I love that. Thank you so much. This is so good. I'm taking tons of notes.
I wrote some of the general ideas down too that I'll send to Jamie to distribute after the call too.
Perfect.
Awesome. So if my hands get tired, I can chill out. Yep. Perfect.
So touching on the first question, or your answer to the first question about finding your target market, in your opinion, is there a maximum number of segment markets or niches? I know that's kind of a blogger term, but that we should be focusing our efforts on when we are targeting our marketing.
Okay, so this one I actually had a question on. I wasn't sure. Marketing segments is such a broad term. I wasn't sure if you meant segments of your market or marketing channels. Either way, the answer is the same. I approached it in the response that I'll send you as channels.
Okay.
But segments is the same. So basically, there's no magic formula. Okay. Every single business is different. Every single brand is different. I can't say that there's, 5 is the magic number or anything like that. But what I like to always say is to start with one and own that segment. So many times, especially as solopreneurs, small business owners, you're so strapped for time and you're so overwhelmed with information. There is an abundance of information. The biggest problem that I've found that my clients have is synthesizing all the information on the web to try to figure out what applies to their business the best. And unfortunately, there is no, simple solution to that. There's no way to go and say, I know that blogging is the best for me because other people are doing it, because maybe writing isn't your strong suit. Maybe your audience doesn't like reading blogs, and someone else's audience may, and you may be selling the exact same product. It totally depends on that, narrowed down target market that you have. So what I would say is begin with one. So in terms of channels, think about what you're good at. So if you're awesome at social media marketing, that doesn't mean that you need to be on Pinterest and Instagram and Facebook and Twitter and trying to manage all these different social accounts and spending all of your time running ragged, trying to post daily to all these platforms and come up with great dynamic content and have everyone engaging with you on every channel. It's so overwhelming, and so many people are guilty of this. And then they end up putting 10% of their effort into 10 different channels or 10 different segments instead of 100% into one. And that's really sort of a pitfall that a lot of solopreneurs and small business owners get sucked into, because they feel like, I need to make myself look bigger. I need to stay, on top of everyone across every channel and every medium and every segment and make sure that I'm not missing any opportunities to grow. But the truth is, if you start with one and work on it, let's say Facebook, for instance, if you are great at Facebook, grow your following to 10,000 people. Have a plan for your posts. Know when you're engaging with your audience. Mondays, I develop all my graphics, and Tuesdays, I write all my posts, and Wednesdays, I schedule everything to go out, and Thursdays, I engage with my audience, and Fridays, I go live, or whatever it is, and have a schedule and stick to it and really commit to it and see your following grow and grow and grow. And once you've dominated that platform, move on to the next one. Because now that's a well-oiled machine. You have time to go kind of set and forget that. You're in the zone. You know that it takes 5 hours every week to do whatever you're going to do. And now you can allocate an extra 2 hours to try to tackle Pinterest or something else. So basically, you got to figure out your secret to success with one and then move on to the next one. Muted.
Sorry. All right. Yes. Okay. So whatever I just said, hit rewind. That makes a lot of sense. Everything that you shared makes a lot of sense. On that same topic of target market, should you limit your focus? For example, I know there's lots of influencers on social media, and we all have multiple facets to our personalities, to our lives, what we do. Should you just pick one and focus on that? Or can you, in a balanced way, share everything, be touching on every other person that you could potentially reach? I guess in terms of target market, do you need to kind of narrow down to the point where you're really picking one aspect of your personality and sharing that? What's your thoughts on that?
So I think it differs from one person to the next, but generally I would say it all comes down to authenticity. So people, I'm a mom, I'm a small business owner. I am a published author. I am, I used to be a songwriter. I've been published in books of poetry. I have like so many different interests. I'm also like natural. I'm not vegan, but I'm pretty close to it. So I have all these different interests. Now, there's two sides of the coin. When I launched Morel Marketing back in 2015, I basically started it trying to do everything for everyone. I had worked for nonprofits. I had worked for for-profits. My website was all over the place. Like, if you had seen my website in the first year that I launched my business, you'd be like, what the heck do you even do? Like, you're all over the place. You have services for nonprofits. You have services for for-profits. You're offering social media and email marketing and marketing strategy and this and that and the other thing. And I was so disoriented. I didn't even know what I was selling. And I'm a marketing person. I should be, really figuring out what my core offerings are. And I wasn't closing any deals in the first 3 months of my launch. And I'm like, something is not resonating with the people that I'm going after. So I immediately took down my website. I redid it completely. And I said, what do I like to do? What do I enjoy? What brings me joy? And I sat down and I said, you know what? I really like strategizing. I think not only do I really like it, but I'm great at it. I've done it for so many years, for so many businesses. Almost every company, every small business I've worked for has gotten acquired because of the strategies that I put in place. I have been doing this for over a decade. I have experience. I think I could sell it. Plus, it's a higher ticket item. And I can work less hours, which I really needed flexible hours because I had just had a baby. So I really sat down and thought about it and said, well, I also need to make money. What else do I like to do that, if I'm not closing these big clients every single month, what am I going to do to supplement my income? Well, guess what? I love blogging and I love writing in general. So blogging and email marketing. So I really honed in on that. And once I changed my strategy to just what brought me joy and what I love to do, I closed my first client that month. I had amazing success with him. I took his business from $3,000 a month as a solopreneur to $70,000 a month with 3 employees in 3 months. And he was like referring me to different people and they were contracting me for jobs. And I was doing so many things that I loved and I was passionate about. And my husband was like, I saw such a shift in you in the past couple months. And I'm like, cause I'm fired up. Like, I'm doing what I love to do and it's producing results and people are responding to it. And my website is telling the exact story I want it to. And everything's lining up. And that's kind of how you should think about how much to narrow down your target market and who you're going after. Cause if you could be, a mom and someone who loves, using Young Living oils for beauty, or someone who loves using them for cleaning, or someone who loves doing both things, then you can be both. And other people will share in the personality traits that you're sharing with them. Or they might say, wow, she's so multifaceted. I personally am only using them for X, Y, and Z, but I think it's great that she uses them for all those reasons. And maybe they'll even find some inspiration and want to expand their use of the oils in that way because they love the way that you're sharing other things and thought, I never considered using them in that way. So I would say focus on what brings you joy and what makes you you, because at the end of the day, you are your brand and you are selling your uniqueness, and everyone has something to bring to the table. And it doesn't matter if, you're selling them for 5 different reasons or 1 reason only, as long as it's something that you truly believe in and people believe you when you say that.
Absolutely. So we do have a few minutes left with Justine. So if anybody else has any questions that they wanted to toss out, here's your chance.
And I know you had a question about social media rock stars.
Oh, yes, that's right. Yeah, let's talk about that one.
So your question was, for those who aren't social media rock stars, how can social media or marketing strategy overall be leveraged to fill seats at events and get your target market in front of the product info? So I love this question. I actually even wrote in my response to you, I love this question. As I was skimming over your questions, and because you sent them in Messenger and it was the last one, it was the first one that I saw.
Mm-hmm.
And I was like, oh my gosh, nobody starts out a social media rock star. Okay. Like literally no one. Your experience is what builds your skill, not the other way around. People don't come into, you know, the amount of prodigies that there are in the world at certain things is such a small percentage. Like people don't just sit down at a piano and play like Beethoven. It's something that they build their experience and they build their skill over time. So how many of us learn is trial by error. Like your failure is a lesson and a stepping stone to growth. It's not really something negative. It's really something positive. Your focus for social media really should just be goal oriented. So basically the way that I think about every single thing that I do in life, with my finances, with my business, with my clients' businesses, with social media, it's to work backwards from a goal. So if you're running an event, how much time do you have to fill the seats that you want to fill? What's your close rate? Think about it like this. If you have 30 days to fill 30 seats at your event and you have a 25% close rate, you need to reach at least 120 people or 4 people a day, because 25% is 1 out of 4. If it takes you 10 tries to reach one person or get them on the phone or reply to you in Messenger, that means that in order to reach 4 people a day, you need to send 40 messages a day because you're timesing it by 10. So think about it like, how can you use the tips above to define your core audience more closely? And then if you don't have the time to send 40 messages a day and reach 4 people and convert 1 out of 4 and fill the 30 seats by yourself because you're just one person and you're a mom and you have 3 kids or whatever, and you're running around like a crazy person, if you've honed in your target market and you've honed in on your messaging and you've done the work to set yourself apart and build the trust and loyalty, think about other ways you can supplement your efforts. So maybe it means running a Facebook ad and you have, $40 to spend and you think this is the right marketing message, these are the right graphics, I've appealed to people in this way before. Maybe you share a popular video that you've done and hope that that gets some people in the door. And this is supplementing your efforts. Or maybe you've done something similar, an event that's similar in the past, and you reach out to people who enjoyed the event and ask them to share it on their personal page, or try to do things that, if people believe in you and they buy from you and they engage with you and they're excited about what you're selling, they're probably going to be willing to sell it too. Maybe it means you incent them. If you get 10 people to this event, I'll give you a free oil, or I'll give you a free, pack of something or whatever, and incent them to basically be micro influencers for you. They're already using the products. They already believe in the brand. What can you do and how much is your time worth? If it's worth it to you and it works, then paying them, worth $20 of an oil or something is totally worth it, because you just saved yourself 10 hours of sending 40 messages, over such a period of time. So you really have to think about how to work backwards from your goals, and then how you're going to reach those goals either by yourself or by partnering with other people, or, paying for ads or whatever, supplementing your effort.
Yeah, that when you really break it down, it's just such a great strategy. I like that. Anybody have anything else that popped up? Tammy, I see you waving your pen.
That was just me being excited. It's like oh, this is good stuff. I'm writing some more. Oh my goodness. Yeah, I was trying to think, because I think that for a lot of our membership, we're all growing that social media presence. And I think for a lot of us, that is a focus to get our brand fine-tuned. Who are we talking to? What are we trying to say to them? And getting that to look appealing, right? Because that's what marketing is. this looks good, right? You want some of what I have. And I can meet your need and in a very like attractive way, right? Oh my gosh. But I do think a lot of our people are just trying to get seats filled at classes, and they're trying to use these channels to get more people there. So that is what we need.
I think also too, it's a shift in mindset. Like, so many people have a lack mentality about business and about money. And they come from a place of, I need to fill seats. I need to pay my bills. I need. Or I don't have enough. I don't have, I need to pay my bills this month because I don't have enough of this. And it comes from a place of lack instead of a place of abundance. Come from a place of abundance, it completely shifts not only the way that you perceive your business, but it also shifts the way other people see your business. So if you come from a place of like, I just love these oils and I want to share them with you, and I don't care if you buy them or not. I don't care if you think they're as amazing as I do, because I love them and I'm just promoting them and I'm just doing this because I love them. I don't need to sell $500 a month of oils. I don't need to meet a certain goal. I just want to share my knowledge and provide people with all the information they need to make the decisions for themselves. Essentially, at the end of the day, you want people to feel like it was their decision to buy Young Living from you. You don't want it to feel the other way around, like they were pressured into it, or they felt like, oh, she sent me so much stuff, I might as well just buy an oil and see if I like it. You want them to be like so fired up about getting oils. Like, that's how I felt when I bought my first oils from Jamie. It was like, we had talked about how we shared some commonalities with Crohn's disease, and I was looking for natural remedy, and I was like, wow, I love the way she's using these. I feel like she never once said to me like, you should cure your Crohn's and give me money for oils. It was like, I saved my life with these oils. Like, I just want to share the good word, basically. And didn't care if I bought them or not. At least maybe you did, but it didn't come across that way. And that's the beauty of shifting your mindset from one of lack to one of abundance. And it's also like, again, to relate it to when I started my business, when I launched my business, I was so desperate for clients because like I said, in the first 3 months of launching, I made $0 and I was scared. I wasn't going to be able to pay my bills with a newborn baby. And I was like, oh my God, I'll give you 40% off. I'll do it for free. Whatever I need to do, I will do it. And people took so much advantage of me. And once I figured out my worth and knew what the value was that I was bringing, I increased my prices and I was selling more than I ever had. And people were coming back to me willingly without me even asking. And it totally shifted the way that I ran my business. And I think that shift is one of the most important ones you can make as a solopreneur or a small business owner, is to say, do what you love, do what brings you joy, and make sure everyone else knows that that's why you're selling. And don't even have it come across as a sales pitch. Have it come across as you're their friend and you're just sharing info. And who cares if they buy it or not? Because if people love it as much as you do, and they will if they're great, then you don't need to push.
I love that, Justine. I do. And mindset is such a huge part, especially detaching yourself from sale. And I know we've talked about having a there you are instead of here I am mentality.
Yes.
Like, there you are. I've been looking for you. Like, let me share this information I have, and help you if I can. It's not about me. It's about you. What do you need? Because everybody wants to feel that way. Nobody wants to come into a conversation where you're just being talked at, right? Like, you want to be in a conversation where somebody's asking you questions and gleaning more about you, because people love to talk about themselves, and they will tell you what their needs are. They'll tell you what their problems and their struggles are, and you will be able to see a need that you can fill. So I love that.
And people pick up on fakeness as well. Like, I just had a conversation with my husband last night that somebody that I'm close friends with is is selling some things. She runs her own business, and we've been close friends for a while. And every time she goes on a live video, she starts it off with like a sales pitch. She always leads off with, I'm selling this and I'm selling this and I'm selling that. Oh, and I just want you all to know that I'm just here to serve. And I am just here to deliver, value to you. And I'm thinking in my head, like, this is backwards. You're being hypocritical. You're starting off with like this heavy sales pitch and making me feel pressured to buy what you're selling, and talking about yourself for 15 minutes before even asking anyone a question. And then you're going into how you're service-based. And for me, I just get the feeling that you're not being authentic. I get the feeling that you're self-serving and that you're trying to make your business sound like it's service-based because you feel like that's what we want to hear as people who would buy something from you. And one of the things that you need to shift about that is how it's not just how you shift your mindset, but also being really hyper-focused and aware of how you're coming across. Like, go back, watch your lives. Feel like, take it all in as if you were someone watching them for the first time and say, wow, I really didn't like the way that I positioned that. Or, wow, I didn't realize how much I was, using sales speak or talking about promotions more than, asking questions and engaging with people. Like, I was so wrapped up in myself that I didn't even answer any questions on my last live because I was just, focused on my message and what I wanted to deliver and bring to the table. It's kind of like talking without taking a pause to listen to someone's response. You have to take a breath and just back up and say, okay, someone was asking me a question and it was a perfect opportunity to answer, but because I didn't want to lose my train of thought, I wasn't willing to stop and answer them. And that's the wrong way to approach it. You need to say, I'm just here to answer questions, and really do that 100% every time. Hey, bud.
Yeah, absolutely. Justine, I know we've kind of clicked over the end of your time with us. Thank you again so much for just pouring in your wisdom here. I have a lot of notes, and Justine's going to actually email me as well, just to recap that. She's going to email me. Leah's got a lot of notes. Email me her responses as well, so that if anybody needs to kind of glance back through for things that they may have missed, and this is being recorded as well, so you can rewatch. Justine, I know you offer more extensive coaching experiences as well. Did you want to share a little bit about that before we wrap up?
Yeah, I mean, honestly, I actually have an exciting opportunity that is coming up, and I don't really want to say too much about it because it's still in development, but I'm launching a beta program probably in about a month, where I really want to reach more people in calls like this. So what I'm doing is I'm developing sort of a online community where I'm synthesizing a bunch of information and a bunch of questions that people normally ask. And I'm going to be charging a really small fee every single month, just so that people stay accountable, and so that obviously I can supplement my income as well. So basically what I'm doing is I'm putting together templates, checklists, guides, and also doing Facebook Lives and building a community and having networking opportunities and answering questions. And that's going to be launching soon. But in the meantime, I mean, you can always contact me directly, and I can do one-on-one coaching. But it's not, like I was telling Jamie before the call, it's not really something that I promote on my website, because I've done it for a lot of my clients and it gets very time consuming to reach people one-on-one, and I'm only one person and my bandwidth is only so much. Mm-hmm. So that's kind of what spurred this idea of creating a community that's more focused on providing resources and synthesizing all the information online and giving sort of like a synopsis, like I did tonight, of answering specific questions and giving more mindful, high-level guidance. So I can provide more details once that launches. But the other thing that I wanted to touch on was the book recommendations that was asked in the beginning of the call really quick. So I actually am reading this book right now that it sounds so cheesy, but I have to say it is life-changing. This book is if I could buy it for everyone I know, I would. And frankly, I just bought copies for all of my clients and mailed them to them as surprise gifts because this book is so incredible and the lessons in it are so beautifully written and relatable, and it doesn't matter what stage of business you're in. It's amazing. I actually got it at my local library, so I didn't even pay for it. So I would encourage you to do the same thing. But the author's name is Simon Sinek, Sinek. And the book is called Leaders Eat Last. And it is basically, he met with someone, quite a few people who were military based. And these people are such a unique breed of leaders. And he was wondering how that translated to other aspects of business. And the lessons that he gives are lessons from CEOs of for-profit companies. They're lessons from Marine Corps and Army and totally broad spectrum of stories. But the way that he writes is based off of, it comes from a place of talking about leadership, but at the same time, you can apply it to other aspects of your business. And it's all about telling a story and building your brand in a specific way. And I have taken away so many lessons from this book that are not even about leadership. And so I highly, highly recommend it. And I'm only like 3/4 of the way through it. He has another book called Start With Why. And that's next on my list. I actually just checked that out from the library too, so that I can start it as soon as I finish this one. He wrote that one first. He actually did a TED Talk, one of the first TED Talks back in 2009 about Start With Why and the concept behind that book. And so you can Google him and that TED Talk and see I think it's like 15 or 20 minutes, and it's really, really eye-opening. There's also a couple of books that were recommended to me that I've read. I actually really like Rachel Hollis for personal development, Girl Stop Apologizing and Girl Wash Your Face. Those are two really good books about personal growth and don't really have a lot to do with business, but she does have some stories in there about being an entrepreneur herself and growing her own business. And I'd have to think about some more, but that's kind of what I've been reading lately.
Well, those are awesome. And I have a total crush on Simon Sinek. I think he's adorable, but also incredibly intelligent and so good. And I watched that TED Talk on Start With Why, and I have partially read the book. I start a lot of books I don't often finish, but it's so funny that you mentioned it because I just saw that one on Audible and I was like, I have to have this one. This looks so good. So I'm so glad you mentioned that one.
I'm telling you, I actually, let me share this little detail. So he wrote in this book about this guy, Bob Chapman, who runs a company that is focused on something with machines and like a factory-driven environment. And he went in as the CEO and decided to basically disguise himself and just witness everyone in the organization. And then he realized that everyone was so happy and jovial and spent all this time, talking about each other's families. And then at the end of the break, they went back to work and they all had sort of sullen looks on their faces and were just very focused on their task at hand. And he was like, well, what's going on here? How come my employees are happy in the break room and miserable at their jobs? And they said, well, we feel pressure from the organization to, get everything done. And there's a bell that literally rings like Pavlov's dog every time we can go to the bathroom and every time we can take a lunch break, and it's so structured. We can't leave our post, and, we have to be here 5 minutes early because if we're not on the floor by the time the bell rings, we get penalized. And there was all this stuff happening that he had no idea what was happening. And immediately he took the bells away. He told people they could come in whenever they want. When the recession happened in 2008, he actually, instead of laying off employees, he created a lifetime employment contract where he told people that they would not ever lose their jobs. And instead, they had to take a 4-week unpaid furlough, but they could transfer their hours to each other. So if some family needed the money more, they could work more and other people could take more time off if they could afford it. Then after the recession, he paid back people for the hours that he made them take off as soon as the company was doing well again. Like, this guy is the definition of an incredible leader. And when I was reading that story, I was so touched. I literally got goosebumps when I was reading it. I'm like, oh my gosh, this guy is incredible. I went on LinkedIn and I friended him and I wrote him this message. I just am reading Simon Sinek's book and I saw that you were in there and you're his mentor, and he wrote this incredible story about you and your leadership. And I would love to have a connection that's so team oriented and focused on their people like you are. You're so inspiring. I would love to follow you. And within a day, he friended me back. And I was astonished. This guy is the CEO of like a huge company and personally friended me back. And I'm like, see, this is the value of connection and relationships, and really just coming from a place of integrity and saying, you know, you just are amazing and I admire you and I want to connect with you. And he just said yes. And I'm sure he gets friend requests from thousands of people every day. And it's really his profile. He's really, you know, someone that I'm connected to today. And I think that's just so incredible. And I read books like this and I get so inspired. Like, I've messaged people that are on Shark Tank and I'm like, I love your product and I know you didn't get picked for a deal, but I can market the hell out of your brand. Like, contact me and let's chat. And I've had the CEOs of some of these companies reach out to me and ask for a proposal and talk to them, because I'm not coming from a place of like, I sell this. I'm like, wow, I have a kid who would use what you're selling and I know how to market it because I'm a mom and I'm an entrepreneur and I would do this for you. And, you know, let's have a conversation. And just being fired up about their brand, they get fired up about me. And it's totally reciprocal and amazing. And it happens all the time.
Well, great recommendations. Those are two that I have not read yet, but I'm glad that Tammy has started. So
You'll have a crush on Simon Sinek too. He's super nerdy cute.
Yeah,
Isn't he just
nerdy cute. If you saw my husband, you'd be like, yeah, he's your type. Glasses, tall.
Oh my gosh, I love it. So thank you so much for giving us even extra time and extra insight and input. And like, I like totally can feel your passion about this subject, and it's getting me fired up. So, and that's so true. It's, that's another one, The Energy Bus. Have you read that one, Justine?
I actually haven't read that, but you know what? I'm going to take 1 second and read you this quote, because I took a screenshot of it from the book because it was so incredible. In Leaders Eat Last, this is what he says. In physics, the definition of power is the transfer of energy. We measure the power of a light bulb in watts. The higher the wattage, the more electricity is transferred into the light and heat, and the more powerful the bulb. Organizations and their leaders operate exactly the same way. The more energy that is transferred from the top of the organization to those who are actually doing their job, those who know more about what's going on a daily basis, the more powerful the organization and the more powerful the leader. To me, that was just mind-blowing. The definition of power is a transfer of energy.
Wow.
Like, we're stronger together than we are apart. And like I said, I mean, I know we're over time, but that's because I could talk about this stuff all day. I love self-help. I love all this stuff. And the reason why I love it is because there are millions of small businesses and more popping up every day, because people want not just to be their own boss and have authority over their schedule, but because they see an opportunity to help and to serve more people. A lot of times when people start small businesses or become network marketers or believe in a product and invest their time in selling it, isn't because they want to make money per se. That's a great byproduct. But something that Simon Sinek actually says in his TED Talk is money is not something that is an end goal for anyone. It's a byproduct. It's something that comes from service. It's something that comes from what you love to do. You don't set out to make money. You set out to do an action that results in money. Money is a result. And the difference is you have a finite amount of time and you have the control over your schedule and your happiness. You can always make more money. You can't get your happiness back. You can't take your time back. You get 24 hours in a day. And what I like to think about all the time is like single moms who have 5 kids and they live, you know, somehow day to day doing their dream and, you know, creating this amazing brand around themselves or whatever. And I'm like, wow, I have a husband and a partner and only 2 children. And, you know, I'm doing a lot and I have a lot of hobbies and I run this business and I have this other thing going on. But at the end of the day, I have more time than she does. And she's making it work. So I can make it work, you know, and that's not even a comparison. It's more of a coming from a place of inspiration, looking at other people around me and saying, we all get the same 24 hours in a day. How did Steve Jobs build an empire? How did Bill Gates become, you know, a billionaire? How did these people do these things? We all have the same time in a day. We all have a skill. We all have value. There's more than enough to go around. What am I doing that I could be doing better? How can I serve more people? How can I be better? How can I better utilize my time? All of those different things.
Mm-hmm.
So true. I love that.
Great way to cap it all off.
Yep. There you go. I know, like, period and can I get an amen? Justine, thank you so much. I'm looking forward to Jamie sharing your notes with us too, in case we missed anything that we should have written down in our 15 pages of notes.
There's more than what I wrote down only some notes, so you probably have a lot more than what I'm saying. But
no, that's perfect. Highlights, outlines are perfect. People will actually look at that. So anyway, thank you guys so much. We'll go ahead and officially end on that note because it literally was perfect. And we will announce our next quarterly business Zoom call after this. You guys can mark your calendars. We'll be sure to get that on the schedule quickly so that you guys can prepare. And Justine, thank you again so very, very much. So I hope you guys all got a lot of value out of that, because I got a lot of value out of that to implement. And don't delay, you guys. Seriously, when you feel some inspiration, don't sit and mull on it and then like not act. I am here to call you to action. Take those bits of inspiration you received and do something with it. Okay. All right. You guys have a great night. And Jamie, you have the recording under control, right? I'm assuming. Thank you for being my tech guru. All right. You guys have a great night.
Good night. Thanks, Justine.
Oh, absolutely. Thank you for having me.
Of course.